Hi all, this is Erica aka ECR Horses 1901, and after 2 days of traveling, I am finally home for my first Breyerfest. I have a lot to say about the whole experience, but as I mentioned in a previous video, those more general Breyerfest videos are going to take some time to stitch together and edit, so please be patient. There will still be a consistent stream of videos, but I do not know precisely when the main Breyerfest one will be out. I decided to start instead with my haul. I don't love making haul videos, and if you're subscribed to this channel, you've probably noticed that it is not a type of video I do often. I have my own reasons for that, but Breyerfest is something different. So buckle up, because I have a lot of horses to show you, and we're actually going to start with a couple of pre-Breyerfest acquisitions. First up is a flocked Stormy. Now, here's the thing. I don't know that this is a true flocked Stormy, because it looks quite different than the ones I've seen pictures of on both Identify Your Breyer and the Model Horse Value Guide, which makes me wonder if this is an aftermarket flocky. I found him on eBay by himself, so no Misty, and I clicked to follow it because the price was a little more than I like. Well, maybe a week later, I got an email from the eBay seller offering a steep discount, so I bid. And for the condition this little guy is in, I mean, he doesn't look too bad on the camera, although you can see some of the stains there, for example. The sale price probably should have been the asking price from the beginning, but I suppose that's another story. I don't really know what to do with him, but he's not currently in show condition anyway. I am going to try to fix that. So right now, I don't have to know if he is custom or OF or what, but I hope to get to the bottom of that eventually. The second pre-Breyerfest purchase was this lovely ceramic Lipizzanner, my first Clinky. He's in great condition and was another antique store find from a new store that we decided to try. I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but he is a Hutschenreuther from Germany. I do Spanish, I don't do German. And compared to what I've seen this model go for online, I got him for a really good price. I don't plan to dive into collecting China pieces at this point in my model horse journey though, so for now, he is just a very nice shelf ornament. Okay, Breyerfest. Let's start with my special runs. I got just one surprise horse, and in hindsight, I'm kinda glad that I did, because I'm not the biggest fan of the standing thoroughbred mold. It was certainly a surprise though, because I don't think I saw Emerson on anybody's guest list. I got the matte. How long is it gonna take me to figure out where I need to hold these models during this video? Alright. I got the matte chestnut Sabino, as you can see. Which is okay color-wise, but at 950 pieces was one of the more common variations. Unfortunately, mine does have a few minor flaws, like a rub on his ear tip, and another weird bit somewhere down his shoulder. I can't see it from this angle, but it's there. So he's not quite LSQ. In fact, I will very likely sell this model because I know there are other collectors out there that will love him more than I do. Next up, this is my fight song. I'm sorry, I'm so not good at this. I got the version without the stand, as you can see, of which there were 875 pieces made. I actually love him. His depth of color is fantastic, and I am such a fan of this mold now that it's not Adonis. In fact, I dare say he is possibly my favorite of all the Breyerfest models this year. Next up is the Quagga. I have two because while I probably should have had my husband and I both get a surprise model, I opted for two Quaggas instead. I do not quite know why. To be honest, both of the ones I got look great though, so while I don't have a good reason to keep both, I probably will. And if I do decide that I'm going to sell one, it's going to be really difficult to decide which one I want to keep. For the limited editions, I have an Alan. Now, Brown Sunshine, I think we can probably all agree, is not a good mule mold, but I love the real-life Alan so much that I simply had to have him. There are some weird inconsistencies in the paint if you really look. Again, it's hard to see from this angle, but I can actually kind of feel them here up on his shoulder, and that is a bit disappointing, but overall, I am happy with him. Then we've got Gascon the Great on my beloved Pasofino mold. As I mentioned back in my thoughts about the 2024 Breyerfest models video, I had hoped there would be more shading or details to him in person, but there really kind of aren't. That said, I can't help but like this model, and I am glad that he's matte. I've said it before, but I have too many pearly gray Spanish horses, so I'm happy that he is not. Finally, I got 2 sets of the Best of Breyerfest stablemates. I've only opened up one of the boxes, and the models from that one all seem pretty perfect. My favorite is probably Dance the Night, the glossy Appaloosa fighting stallion, but I was glad to also add Bulletproof to my collection because if you remember from my Tiny Treasures video, I didn't have any draft stablemates before this one. Flowers, this nice chestnut loping quarter horse, and New Rules, a base Sabino on the Irish Giraffe mold that I have accidentally started a conga of, are also very nice. My least favorite amongst the stablemates is probably the Mini Vallegro Wannabe. There's nothing technically wrong with him, but compared to the other horses in this set, he is my least favorite. Next up is the Celebration horse, Athenian Lady. Both my husband and I got one, but I've only opened up one of them so far. I will say that my opinion of this model has increased for the better. Initially, I found her quite boring when we were only able to go off pictures that Breyer posted of this model online, but now that I have her in hand, I can see that she is extremely well done and very detailed. Once I decide which of my 2 Athenian ladies I want to keep, I will most likely also put the other one up for sale. The final Breyerfest 2024 specific models were the event stablemates, the semi-maligned Bejeweled 4-pack. They're still not my favorites, they're pretty one note, but I'll certainly hold onto one of the sets just to have. I did go into the Breyerfest store tent, but only at random times when the lines were non-existent. Although I have seen a handful of cool warehouse finds from people who got in there early, that really wasn't my aim for this trip. What I did get was the Gummy Bear Trio. I'll just bring down the one, because I was intrigued. Morbidly curious might be more like it, about scented models. And yeah, they don't smell great. they do smell kind of like fruit, but it is bizarre. But I do like the look of them. I also picked up a Strudel, the plushie from 2021. I was very happy to spot him in what was left in the warehouse bins because he's probably my favorite Breyer plushie of all the ones I've seen. I then got one each of the blind bag selections that were available. From the Mystery Horse Surprise Series 3 2021 Tractor Supply, I pulled a Leopard Appaloosa. Sadly, he has more scuffs on him than I originally noticed, so he's not live show quality and I will probably be selling him. I also got this gray loping quarter horse from the Horse Crazy Surprise Set 2 from 2018 Walmart, who is fairly nice. And I think I'll keep him around because I also did not have many stock horse type stablemates prior to Breyerfest. I picked up this glass with outlines on one side and a list of all the celebration models going back to 1990. I picked up one of the commemorative books, although that's already placed in a binder, so you're not gonna be able to see it, sorry. And an après-ski because I do think he's a really nice holiday horse, though he's going to stay safely in his box until we put him out before Christmas time. There were a few different types of mystery boxes for $200 each, which I thought were intriguing, but after some deliberation I passed. First of all, I would rather spend that amount of money on horses that I knew I wanted, and secondly, it was a very large box, and toting that around would have been a nightmare. We parked at the Alltech Arena and took the shuttle over to the main park every day, so we would have had to go immediately onto the shuttle and back to the car at the Alltech to pack up the box, and then we'd have to get back on the shuttle and go back to the main entrance. So it would have just been even more walking and waiting than we already had to do. I do hope that somebody who makes videos got one of the mystery boxes though, because I am really keen to see what was in them. I also, from what I understand by hearing what people were saying around me when I was looking at them, heard that there were 2 or 3 different types of mystery boxes, so again, I'm really hoping to find out what was in at least one of them. The only type of Breyerfest specific merch that I was not able to get this year was a t-shirt. I didn't really care for the designs that were left by the time I got into the Breyerfest store, and even if I had like the ones that they had left, they did not have my size in any of them. I did get a t-shirt for the Kentucky Horse Park though, but I'm not going to include all the general Kentucky merch that I got, because this video is going to be long enough, so at least I got one t-shirt of some sort. Going into Breyerfest, I had a few types of models that I hoped to find. Specifically, I wanted to buy an artist resin, preferably painted, because as we've seen, I have zero talent and I really do not have the patience to wait for someone else to paint it and then send it back. I also wanted to get my first Peter Stone, and overall, I wanted to be really purposeful and stick to my wish list, which is primarily connoisseur and just about horses subscriber special models, with a few other perennial favorites that I've had my eye on since I started collecting again. We went to the Artisans Gallery on Thursday night, and man, there were a lot of amazing horses for sale. I had to do the once around to see everything that was there and to see what I liked best and then try to narrow it down, and it was a difficult choice. I knew I wanted something, but I had an overall budget, and I didn't want too huge of a chunk of that to go towards a single horse. Because, as you probably know if you're watching this, artist resins, especially the painted ones, can be very pricey. And for good reason, because they're amazing pieces of art. So I ended up with an Eohippus. He is from Desert Sun Studios. Move him over here. Lauren does amazing work, and I knew I wanted to look at these guys as potential purchases before even leaving for Breyerfest. While the white stripes aren't really the coat pattern that is typically associated with the Eohippus, I've done some reading, and people who do study such things believe that the actual animal probably had an assortment of dapples and stripes, not at the same time, but one or the other, as both of those patterns would work as camouflage really well in the environments where they live, and in any case, it's not known with 100% certainty. Anyway, I love the details not only on him, but on his stand. You can probably, I know it's blurry, but you can probably kind of make out that there's actually tufts of grass and scrub there. I would have loved to get the larger version, but this guy was more in my price range, and I'm very happy with him. There were a few models I had put down payments on and planned to pick up at Breyerfest. I also sold my Yellowstone because he just wasn't doing it for me, and so I was more than pleased to sell him to somebody who needed him to finish their Wyatt Conga. As far as what I bought from people, I got this super gorgeous, super detailed Peruvian Paso named Del Fuego, who was a 2004 connoisseur horse. I really do love everything about this one. Then from someone else, I picked up Vignette from the 2010 Connoisseur series. on the cantering Welsh pony mold. From that same person, I also got what I can only assume is a factory cull calf. He most closely resembles the original 1972 to 1973 regular run Holstein calf model, and I'll put a picture of what that guy looks like up here on the other side of the screen. And as you can probably see, there is no pinking in his ears or on his muzzle. His hooves are not gray as they would be in the regular run. And there's a ton of masking. Again, I don't know how well the camera will pick this up, but there is a ton of masking to the point of overspray on his markings. You can most notably see that on the white spot on this guy's head. It's much smaller than it's supposed to be. So, although he didn't come with any official documentation, I thought he was very unique and very cool. But as nice as those guys are, my most special pickup was the set of family Arabian foals I purchased from Andrea Gurdon's estate. There were 7 altogether, and even though a few are duplicate colors, they are all unique. First up are the 3 alabasters. This one is a little more yellow than the others and has some significant overspray at the base of his tail and around his right eye. On the left side, most interestingly, is signed Merriam, New York, 1961. I do not know the story behind that, and I'm not sure I'll ever find it out, unfortunately, but I like the little details that really make this guy one of a kind. The second alabaster is very white and has more obvious pinking on his muzzle and in his ears. Finally, we have what appears to be a semi-gloss foal with a mostly intact blue ribbon on his neck. There is actually a post in the Breyer History Diva blog about this guy. It's called Nobody Expects the Family Arabians from June 11th, 2012. So go check it out if you want to learn more about him. Next is a matte small blanket Appaloosa foal. He's a nice complement to my glossy large blanket Appaloosa foal. Then we have 2 glossy bays. This first guy is a little lighter brown, and the stripe down his face is askew. By contrast, the second foal you can kind of see is darker in color, and his stripe is straight down his face. My favorite of the foals, though, has to be this Matt Palomino, who also has a mostly intact blue ribbon sticker. His color is so rich, and he is in such amazing condition. I also noticed that he has the straight ears as opposed to the curled ears that most of my family Arabian foals have instead. I am truly honored to have these guys, and I plan to give them a good home where they will be cherished for a very long time. Other Clarion buys include causing a commotion, the 2003 Just About Horses Collector Club Special Edition, a lovely matte buckskin. Yes, it's a Peruvian Paso mold again. I also got a glossy Palomino family Arabian foal because I figured he was a good companion for the matte one that you just saw. And I now have a conga of 10, yes 10, family Arabian foals, so there's that. I picked up Hickory Hills Wall Street just because he's one of those models I've wanted for a while. And I found yet another Just About Horses subscriber special model, special delivery, who is from 1999. He needs a little TLC, but I'm hoping he'll clean up well. Even if he doesn't, he was very affordable, probably because of his condition. And collecting all the Just About Horses subscriber specials is one of my goals, so at least I'll be a little bit closer to attaining that. My first Peter Stone ended up being my husband's choice. I've mentioned that he casually collects blue horses. Well, we came upon a room with some inexpensive stone models, including a couple of blue ones, so I let him choose which one we were gonna go home with. We ended up with Lapis Lazuli, a half-year catalog run starting from January of 2000. He's a short mane, long tail-ish, who I'm sure you can see is this gorgeous deep cobalt color with gold flecks throughout and a black mane and tail. As his name suggests, he was part of Stone's Gemstones or Gems collection. I can't remember which, and I'm frankly having a hard time finding out online. The final purchase, at least during our first 2 visits to the Clarion, was a cheapie I just had to buy, and that was this rather unremarkable looking Pam, until you turn her to the front and notice that she is a bloaty. Despite having a fair amount of models from the bloaty, shrinky period, none of mine have worked in these ways, so as soon as I saw the slightly hydrocephalic head, I snatched her up basically just for the fun of it. We skipped the Clarion on Saturday. I'll get into it in my main Breyerfest video, but the short of it was, we needed a rest. We did go back on Sunday, however, to check out any last-minute deals. From the Horse You Want's room, I found Buster and Brandy. I don't actually know who is whom, but they are obviously the twin Appaloosa full set, who were a Just About Horses subscriber special from 1995. At this point, I hadn't done the math, but I was pretty sure I was either at my budget or just beyond, so if I was going to buy anything else, it was going to have to be with the cash that I had left. My choice was one that some people might cringe at, but it was a mini Cornelius from the Spooky Surprise Blind Bags, Series 5. I'm really into long ears all of a sudden, I don't know why, and I've always liked this guy, so I gladly threw most of the rest of my cash down for him. Our final Clarion purchase was yet another blue horse for my husband, and it does not get much more blue than the horse named Blue. The FFA benefit model from 2022 Tractor Supply. The only other model we acquired was a third blue horse, although this was another one that I was also fond of, and that was Franz, the blue decorator on the Spirit mold, who was a Breyerfest special run in 2022. A vendor was selling him in the covered arena for a fair price, so we snatched him up. We also bought a couple of books in the covered arena, and had them signed by their respective authors. So we picked up Marguerite, Misty, and Me by Susan Friedland, and Lexington, The Extraordinary Life, Turbulent Times of America's Legendary Racehorse by Kim Wickens. So I look forward to reading both of those. And that's it. My very large haul that now takes up all of my available shelf space. I look forward to adding many of these horses and the calf to my show string, and as my first post-Breyerfest show is coming up in just a few weeks, I won't have to wait too long to test them out. So that's all for today. There will be either another video or series of videos in which I will talk specifically about our experiences at Breyerfest, but if those end up taking a while to edit, and I suspect they might, as I mentioned in the beginning, there may be some other content, such as my Shire mold video. You can see her still hanging out back there, so there will be something for you to watch in the meantime. If you liked today's video, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already, and your comments are always welcome. I'll see you next time.